Welcome, traveler. You found us.
Once again.
My name's Julio. Welcome to Scrub Mode, the podcast that sits at the intersection of gaming and monsters. I'm joined by my two friends here.
Hello, we're two.
It's me.
I'm Ryan.
I'm John. I'm back from Japan.
John's back from Japan. You want to talk about it a little bit?
It was. I don't know where to start without bragging, but yeah, it was dope.
That's dope, man.
Godzilla Museum, onsens. Weirdly, one of the best Mexican meals I've ever eaten at La Posada. So there's this dude who was the, and I wish I had his name handy, but he was like the judo coach for the Mexican teams, and he fell in love with Mexican food so much he brought it back to the little peninsula he calls home, and it was like a Mexican style bed and breakfast with like
That's
a
dope.
kaiseki of Mexican food that was insanely good.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did it have like the same flavors?
Yeah. He made like he made a mean like margarita. He made what's the big corn soup?
Escabeche? No.
Yeah.
It could be escabeche.
You know what? That's incredibly that's incredibly cool.
It was a 5-course meal.
Wow.
But like it's insanely effed up how like how you can go to Japan and have like one of the best Mexican meals that you've had in like forever.
Yeah.
And then I now live in a desert that is not that far away from Mexico, but not a single restaurant here knows how to make good Mexican food.
Really? In Vegas?
It's an insult. Yeah, it's an insult. I'm sure there's probably one or two around here that has like that good Mexican flavor, but all the spots around here like suck ass.
That's horrible. My heart breaks for you.
Dude, it sucks ass. It's the worst. Again, like I probably told this story to Julio already, but like my dad was looking for a place to eat Mexican food. There's a place like down the street from us. And
Convenient.
He asked them for carne asada, and like everyone in that kitchen and behind the counter, they were Mexican, but they couldn't understand what he meant by wanting carne asada. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? What
Julio
the
and
fuck
I are
do you mean, dog?
are visibly confused.
Yeah.
I'm visibly confused. I once asked them for al pastor, and they're like, well, we have this. It's kind of like al pastor. It's like, that's not al pastor. You can say that it's kind of, but it's not.
Have I mentioned the Taco Time franchise up here to you guys?
No.
I remember passing by the Taco Time.
I kind of love it, but it is
It's white people tacos, right? It's white people tacos.
It's weirder than that because it's like it is Mexican food. If somebody in the post-apocalypse or if an alien heard stories of Mexican food and attempted to recreate it, so it's like all the ingredients are there, but none of the spice is there. So it's like completely unseasoned refried beans.
Oh.
And like sometimes it really hits the spot. It's close to my house. It's convenient. It's completely seasonless, so it's easy on the tummy. But the other thing is like their chief side is what they call Mexi tots, which are tater tots. And something about pairing a burrito with tater tots is so fucked up.
I don't know. I could see you doing a thing where you put like tater tots in the burrito instead of like rice or something.
They don't do that.
They don't do that? Oh, man.
Also,
I hate to break your...
Because I like a breakfast burrito with like hash browns in it, you know?
Yeah, I love a breakfast burrito, but this ain't that.
I see.
And it does kind of work,
brown.
but it's so far removed. The shit doesn't even really look like Mexican food.
I see.
I don't know. It's hard to explain without showing you a menu and being like, how weird is this?
Look at this right now.
That's funny.
Anyway, speaking of weird stuff, is that our segue?
Yeah, let's do some weird shit.
Dude, get on that two-wheeled stand-up scooter and fucking show us what's going on.
Okay. So yeah, D&D. Where do most adventures take place? The Underdark.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about a story rooted both in the fantasy magazines that inspired D&D and in the paranormal stuff that I guess also inspired D&D. that like the stories of an evil species hanging around underground, messing with us surface dwellers. That like you can see echoes of it everywhere, from like the Mole Children conspiracy theory to deep underground military bases to the Denver airport.
Oh
Right.
no, not the Denver airport.
Oh yeah,
FlyDenver.com, man.
sponsor us.
Southwest
The Denver
Airlines,
International
where are you?
Airport. Yeah.
So this is a lost episode in that, like, the first time we tried to record this years ago, it just didn't work out. But so when I say, do you remember? Do you have any idea who Ray Palmer is?
No.
You might.
Ray Palmer, the.
Oh wait,
You talking
kind of,
about the
but not
Atom?
really.
So the Atom is named for this guy.
I see. Ray Palmer. Oh wait, am I thinking of Ant-Man? Or
You're thinking of the Atom.
I'm thinking of the Atom, right?
Yeah.
The DC version of the shrinking guy.
Yeah, the DC Shrinky guy, who was named for this guy because he wrote sci-fi stories.
Right.
That may or may not be an early red flag. I'll let you decide in this allegedly true story.
Look, from how many stories we've had of people who like get grifter famous, and like it started with they wrote a sci-fi novel about this. Like, I'm gonna say it's a red flag right off the bat.
Yeah. All right, so our story starts not with Schaefer, but with with Ray Palmer. And at the age of 7, he was hit by a truck.
Okay, wonderful.
Damn.
But this was an
That's a
old-timey
serious-
truck, because this is
Oh,
like
no.
the 1910s. So he was caught in the spokes of the truck and just sort of spun around and quote-unquote beaten against the pavement until it came to a stop.
Holy shit.
Fuck. That sucks.
Yeah. Apparently, it broke several of his vertebrae.
Oh.
Man.
So his dad, confusingly named Roy Palmer,
Mhm.
was like, I can't afford a hospital.
Yeah.
Just let my son die on the couch.
Damn.
Great.
That's rough, man. But he lived, right?
Well, a few days later, a social worker came by and was like, "You can't. Your son is clearly fucked up. I'm taking him to a hospital."
Yeah.
We
Ring,
can't
ring.
let this just happen.
I hear your son is roadkill.
Yeah, I got a report that your child specifically was, as it says here, spun like an egg beater.
Beaten against the pavement is the I can
Down
feel my
on-
teeth cracking when I hear that phrase.
Ugh.
Down on 3rd Street. And we've got reports saying that you won't bring him to the hospital, so we're going to have to do our social services thing.
I see. Okay, well, I'm glad somebody did. So you.
Well, this was the age of tuberculosis. So, according to
Fantastic.
Ray's friend Francis Hamling,
Mhm.
Ray got infected with Pott's disease. Have you ever heard of Pott's disease?
No.
Sounds bad, doesn't it?
It sounds super bad.
It is tuberculosis of the spine, which I didn't even know could fucking happen.
Ooh,
Yikes.
that sucks. That sounds like it sucks.
Not TB of the spine. What the fuck?
It sounds
That
like you're
sucks.
trying to make like a joke about the early 20th century.
Yeah. TB of the spine. Jesus.
Oh,
What's tuberculosis do again? What kind of disease?
It gets into
damn.
your lungs and slowly kills you without antibiotics. It
Oof.
just like I don't know if liquefies is the right word, but that's the one where it's like it makes you very faint and you can't breathe and you cough up blood.
I see. It liquefies
Yeah.
your lungs, basically.
Yeah,
Oof. He's got
makes you all gross on the
and he's
inside.
got it in his spine,
Jeez.
which meant that by the age of 9, he could no longer stand or walk, and he would have a
Oh.
permanent sort of like hunchback.
Oh, poor guy.
That sucks.
So as you might imagine, he spent a lot of time inside,
Okay.
reading and writing sci-fi stories. And at this point, I'm on this kid's side. This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, he doesn't seem bad.
Yeah. Crappy life, but you know.
Yeah.
You know,
so
your
there's
dad wanted you to die.
your dad was like, you're not worth taking to the hospital.
Jeez.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
That's rough, man.
Okay, so Palmer becomes a prolific sci-fi writer, And when publisher Ziff Davis acquired the failing Amazing Stories in 1939, he was like, Ray, you've written some good stories. I want you to be the editor.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Okay. Good
Good
job.
promotion.
So this is where it starts to get weird.
Uh-oh.
So this is like the birth of fandom. You know what I mean? Like conventions, the first fan conventions are just starting to happen.
Wow.
And like you guys know from old Marvel comics and shit that like if you write into the comics, occasionally they'll feature your thing and they'll write you
Good
back.
question. Yeah.
So not only do they do this, but they like include your home address and your name.
Uh-oh.
So like, yeah, you'd think this would result in a bunch of doxing, but as far as I'm aware, this just like lets a bunch of fan circles and writer circles pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it was constructive rather than weird.
Yeah, it was like early Discord, basically.
Nice. Well, then again, people back then, most of them weren't thinking like, "Oh, I know this person's address. I guess I'll send a bomb."
I really don't like this guy's take about Flash Gordon. I'm going to stab him.
How dare he talk about Flash Gordon that way?
But fandom then being not too different from fandom now, Palmer and Zift kept getting letters from self-described wizards, UFO contactees, psychics, monster witnesses, you know, our shit.
Wizards.
You know what? Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And in one such letter from a Mr. Richard Shaver, claimed that he had discovered the secret ancient language from which all other languages are descended.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Latin?
He called it Mantong.
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 You speak Mantong?
I don't speak Mantong, but let me
Why
give
does
you
sound familiar. Why does it sound like something that was used like that name specifically? Probably not in the same context, but why does it feel like I've heard that somewhere before?
I mean, this is like stupid, weird occult ephemera, so it's highly likely just like Lemuria and Mu and shit. It's hiding somewhere in an anime or a comic book.
Could be.
You know, it is funny how often comic books and like anime and manga seem to pull up like so many strange like pulls from history in terms of like whether it be sci-fi or paranormal or
I mean,
conspiracy.
Atlantis is a pillar
Like,
of both
crazy.
DC and Marvel, right? Like,
yeah. They both show up in there as like the kingdom of Aquaman or the kingdom of Namor, respectively.
yeah.
And by the way, just to have a small rant on the side, I'm not calling him Namor. Like, come on, that's just like a recent cinematic universe thing. He's always been Namor. Namor from day one. Come on.
I'll do my best. I'm going to switch every time I say it, probably.
I'm not going to be mad at you, John.
Namor.
It's just that like everyone who insists on calling him Namor.
Namor.
It's not.
They made him like Mayan now?
Yeah, they
I
made
forgot-
him Quetzalcoatl.
There you go.
Kukulkan, I think.
Kukulkan. Yeah, they made him the
Kukulkan.
feathered serpent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like works because he's got those little mercury booties. I can like it's
Yeah.
a stretch, but it works.
Kinda, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
But I don't know. I mean, like, making a like, it's like speaking to someone who like puts a accent on your name, like just because they want to throw that accent on your name.
Yeah, it's like
You know,
when
it's
somebody
like-
gets back from Paris and they call it Paris,
Yeah.
and you're like, I know that was how we were supposed to say it there, but here it's weird, man. I know
Yeah.
you're trying to be respectful, but it's coming off
It's like
as weird.
it's like someone going up to you, John, and calling you Yon.
Yeah, I'm like, well, thank
Hello,
you.
Yon. Or like someone coming up to me and calling me Rian, and it's like, can you not?
Reminds me of when I was in Prague on like the Jewish tour, and they kept calling me Jan and being like, "Are you sure you're not Czech? You look like my grandpa." And I was like,
I'm
"It's
sure.
John, and thank you," but no, sadly, I'm not Czech as far as I know.
You look like my grandfather. I'm sure your grandfather was a very handsome man.
I'm
and
so sorry about your
flattered,
grandpa.
but-
No. Anyway, so Mantong allegedly works by like each letter means something.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So I've gone ahead and translated our names into Mantong from
Oh,
us.
sick.
No way.
All right, I'll do myself first. So John, Jon, means generative orifice spore.
Ew.
Like,
Ew.
Not good.
That's not a good one, no.
So, like, the way this guy does it, he's like, you know, like, female is like male, human, and fecund. Therefore, women are men that can have children. I'm like, okay, that doesn't really work in any language that's not the one you have in mind.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It doesn't sound like how language works.
It does not sound like how language works.
Fun fact, it probably isn't.
No. There's no grammar to Mantong. It's just, I mean, spoiler, but it could just be a crazy person seeing patterns that aren't there.
Yeah.
All right, so Julio, again, starting with a J, is going to be generative U, life self orifice.
Life self orifice.
Generative U, life self orifice.
Okay.
I don't like that O's orifice.
Me neither.
Yeah. It makes me fear what I might be.
They're so mean to you, Ryan. You are danger Y, animal spore.
Why animal sport?
Y is in WHY question mark.
Wow.
Danger? Why?
Danger
animal
Y?
spore.
Animal spore.
It's the question followed by the answer. The answer is animal spore.
Yes.
That makes no sense.
No. It's not helpful in the least, and again, like, what about homonyms and stuff like that?
Why is he dangerous? Animal spores.
I think you might actually come out the best in this. Like,
it's still equally, like, mean and nonsensical, but
I don't like generative orifice, which both Julio and I have. It's not good.
Yeah. Also, the fact that J is being used for generative.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No.
That's silly.
That's still... Okay.
So, Ray Palmer's content brain activates. And he's like, I have a gold mine here.
Oh, boy.
And he publishes the Screed on Mantong in Amazing Stories number 18, which hit shelves in January of 1944. And he also goes ahead and asks Shaver, he's like, hey, Shaver, how did you discover this ancient language that's the true language of everything? And if I were an editor and somebody did this to me, this would be a horror story. But again, Ray Palmer just has like that content brain. And Shaver sends him back a 10,000 word document titled A Warning to Future Man.
Ooh.
10,000 words.
10,000 words. Wow. Okay.
So Palmer edits the story and turns it into, retitles it I Remember Lemuria, and publishes it as the cover story for the March 1945 issue of Amazing Stories. He says that, like, the story this is not a sci-fi story I'm publishing in my sci-fi magazine. This is a real story.
Well,
they heard the Mantong.
They heard it. I think my wife's back with her family.
They're like, there's an animal spore
They went
around
to
here?
my wife's back with her family from the buffet.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, he says that Shaver had tapped into racial memory, a phrase that makes me uncomfortable.
That is a very weird thing to say, but okay.
Yeah, the story goes on to involve godlike aliens that had left Earth 12,000 years ago due to toxic radiation.
Sick.
Okay, so right, what's this have to do with all the stuff in the intro? Shaver said that the way he learned about this wasn't actually through racial memory, thank God, but through a weird scenario involving miles and miles of underground caves.
What?
You see, Shaver used to be a welder, and due to a quirk of his equipment, he realized that he was able to hear the thoughts of his fellow workers.
What?
Yeah, he was holding a welding torch and a welding mask in just such a way that he could hear the thoughts of the other welders.
Ah, yes. I'm tuning in to the thoughts of my friends.
Kind of like.
Could you imagine if you were at work and you could hear your coworkers' thoughts? What a fucking horror show that would be.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if your thoughts could be heard?
Yeah. That was an idea I had for a comic book where it was like the main character. It was like reverse psychic. Everyone could read his thoughts, but he couldn't read anyone's.
So you get in trouble thinking.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun idea.
Sounds like one of the
fun idea.
One of the rougher X-Men.
Yeah.
Speaking of rough X-Men, the guy who everyone forgets the moments he loses.
Forget-Me-Not?
Of him. Yeah, that guy's cool though.
Yeah, I love X-Men.
We love Forget-Me-Not.
X-Men's cool.
Anyway, worse than hearing his coworkers thought, Shaver realized that if he was very quiet, he could hear the thoughts and the cacklings of evil subterranean robots.
Evil subterranean robots.
Yes.
Robots.
Yo.
Yes, evil robots called the Deros.
The Deros.
Which is Mantong for destructive robot.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Not like their destructive thoughts weren't enough to describe them.
Yeah.
Wow.
All they talked about was how much they love torturing people with their rays. All their rays.
Like, man.
I see.
Yesterday was so fun torturing all those folks.
I do love that you're positing like a sort of like 3 of these evil devil robots are just like around a coffee machine or a water cooler.
I imagine that they take pride in their job.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh man, yesterday was such a great session. Torturing all those folks.
So Shaver freaks out and he runs.
Like, you know what? I'm going to say it. Not many people say it. I love my job.
Living the dream, Greg.
Living a dream.
Shaver freaks out. He runs to the elevator and he accidentally presses the down button the right number of times.
The right number of times.
Which, he goes down to the subterranean world and he physically sees the Deros.
Uh-huh.
That's so funny.
And they use their mind control rays on him and they make him do some sort of quote-unquote sordid crime.
Sordid crime.
Yeah, they mind control him into doing a crime so bad he gets arrested.
Wow. Yeah, it was the mind control.
It was totally the mind control,
the
guys.
Deros made me do it.
They tortured me. And my humanity.
We know that saying that the devil made me do it does not hold up in court. But has anyone tried the Deros defense?
The Deros made me do it.
I think it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
He goes, well, let me introduce you to this book I wrote.
While in prison, I guess he came to the attention of the Deros, who are the good aliens who live under the earth.
Ah, yes.
And wouldn't you know
aliens?
They're alien robots.
Alien robots, okay.
And they're all super hot.
Oh, of course. I was going to say, and they're super hot robot women.
Yes.
I knew it!
I'm not going to read word for word because it goes on way too long. But his description of this Deros woman is really uncomfortable. He talks a lot about how he can see her quote unquote little green bra.
Okay.
And her drooping flower-like mouth.
What?
I don't know what that means.
I don't like that.
I see he has a type.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess she frees him or something, because they get married and he goes underground, and he lives with the Deros underground from 1938 to 1943.
Wow. He's like, man who has been tortured by the Deros. I have fallen in love with you.
You're so brave. Let me free you from this prison.
So we may engage in intercourse.
Yeah, he says they bang for like a week, and then he gets introduced to her family, and they teach him Mantong, and they tell him the true history of the world.
I see.
One, you're taking it backwards, dude. You're supposed to meet the parents first.
Okay, so I feel like I should do the Aqua Teen Hunger Force like thousands of years ago.
Thousands of years ago.
Where'd all this fog come from?
Thousands of years before the beginning of recorded history, our world was inhabited by powerful starfaring beings. The Nortons, the Titans, and the Atlans. To shield themselves from our sun's poisonous radiation, these godlike aliens built massive caverns underneath the planet's surface. But 12,000 years ago, the solar poison had grown too strong, and they had to abandon our planet.
Of course. Makes sense.
Okay, so those guys never come up again. Forget that you heard that sentence.
Oh shit. Okay.
I probably should have said this is one of the episodes it's going to make you a less good hang. It's going to make you dumber.
This is the part of the episode where you shouldn't share any of this information.
You don't tell any boss, don't tell any friend, don't tell any potential romantic partner.
Yeah. Honestly, you just start the conversation with, "Hey, I heard from this podcast that there is a kid who got like blended against the pavement in like the 1800s, and then he became like some kind of fucking sci-fi author." And then you stop there.
It is a weird domino meme where you can be like, Ray Palmer gets hit by a car. Domino, 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 QAnon.
Yeah.
Second Donald Trump presidency.
You go, a man was ran over by a car as a child and literally pounded into this pavement for like half an hour. And then his dad said, "I don't want him to live because the prices are too high on medical bills. Am I right?" And then you stop there and move on to like, "Man, I wish I had better health care."
That's the lesson we should take from the story.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the aliens left behind two servitor races, the Deros and the Terros.
Servitor races.
Yeah. So why did they create evil robots and good robots? Not stated, not explained. Why wouldn't you just create good robots? Unclear.
Maybe they were all good robots at once, and then some of them just kind of became evil. Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, that's part of it, because he said, like, the Deros had to exist, but then they got worse due to the sun's radiation.
Okay.
And the Terros also mutated, but for good.
And mutated in the good way.
In the good way. How does the sun mutate a robot? I don't know. Next question.
Wrong. Next question.
So, the Terros, like I said, are hot aliens that look like hot blonde young women, mostly.
Obviously.
Or Greek gods. Whereas the Deros are described, quote unquote, as insane idiots with no nipples or teeth.
No nipples or
idiots.
Next time I'm having an internet argument, I'm going to be like, this is who I'm having a fight with.
Yeah.
An insane idiot with no nipples or teeth.
You're sounding awful like a Deros right now. What the fuck did you just call me?
Deros pilled.
Wow.
They also have
with no nipples pilled.
They also have no anuses, which I don't like my robots to have anuses.
Why did you build the robot with an anus?
They also have bad circulatory systems and leukemia.
Okay.
The Deros specifically, or like all of the robots?
The Deros specifically.
Okay.
Why? Maybe that's why they're pissed. They morphed.
I think maybe Richard Shaver does not know what a robot is.
Seems like it.
I also love Julio's just okay, which is the proper response to that sentence.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the proper response, but I also like to go with my response, with his why.
I don't know.
Why did the mutation from the sun give him leukemia?
I don't know, but apparently they come up into the Manhattan subway, quote unquote, all the time.
All the time.
Is he just calling the homeless?
Maybe.
Which is fucked up.
So like I said,
people too, man.
Like I said, the Deros have access to rays. They got the stim ray, which causes pleasant sensations. They got the needle ray, which causes pain. They got the Ben.
I remember these rays.
Okay. They got the Ben rays, which can heal the sick or the dead, or resurrect the dead. And they got the ellipto ray, which causes seizures.
And you forgot the most important ray, the Romano ray.
What's the Romano ray, dear Ryan?
Creates a somewhat okay sitcom that you watch for about 3 seasons.
So it's a very advanced form of torture.
Exactly. Nothing against it, but I figured they could have made a better weapon.
They also have something called T-logs, which is a machine that lets them be telepathic.
Oh, okay.
The telepathy.
I was gonna guess that makes really pretty good Cereal?
That's a good guess.
Kellogg's.
Kellogg's.
Interesting. It's a psychic machine that you get in and makes you psychic.
Yeah. He doesn't describe. In my head, it's like a thing you put in your ear, but he doesn't actually describe what a tellog is.
In my head, I was thinking like a phone.
He just beep 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 calling Richard Shaver. I'm going to torture you.
In my head, I'm picturing Richard? I'm picturing like one of those like photo booths that you get in and just makes you psychic.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, Palmer keeps telling Ray to keep writing the shit because it's flying off the shelves. People love it, or they love to hate it.
Up.
Shaver takes a swing at the Bible, stating there once was a book called the T book, which, as you know from the Taros, T for integration.
Oh my god.
Which was rather widespread up to the time of Christ. It contained the elemental frames of logic and simple what-to-dos, like the age poison elimination, beneficial generators, and so on.
And that sounds like some made-up shit.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
But some groups feared its influence, and it was destroyed so completely that the only memory of that once infallible book remains. Which memory was the father of the Bible in all its veneration, including the cross on the cover, the T sign.
That's why it's a T.
The T sign.
Yeah, it's not a cross because a criminal was executed on it. It's a T because the Taros did it.
It's the lowercase t for time to die. Oh, man. Is that a South Park joke I just made, I think?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I think I heard that from South Park.
I have no clue.
Oh, man.
The T sign sounds like a dog whistle for like toxic masculinity bros.
Maybe, yeah.
They're like, we can't go around just doing this and being misogynistic. So let's just give each other the T sign.
Okay.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Ghosts. The Daros
Don't
are onto
worry,
us.
it's under 10 seconds. We're fine.
I touched my speaker. Sorry.
It's okay, under 10 seconds.
It's the Daros. They're onto us. They're trying to make us do a crime.
They're trying to sabotage our thing. Oops. They're like, you can't put this on now. You can't expose our truths. You're gonna have to reach out to Warner Music, and you're gonna have to get a license for that.
Oh, well. Okay.
You're going to have to sit through 4 phone calls asking for Gorilla's sync licensing permissions. Truly evil.
It's
okay. I'll let that out anyway.
No, you don't have to.
It's what. So at Palmer's behest, Shaver wrote another book about this called Mandark. No shit.
Hey.
Okay.
One of our favorite Dexter's Labs at Villains.
I was going to say, make your Dexter's Lab jokes now.
Right now.
Wow, Mandark. So that's where Mandark gets his name from.
I guess?
Where he goes, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha.
Well, the book claims to describe the true ongoings in the hollow earth beneath Palestine during the life of Jesus.
What the fuck? Hold on, what?
You won't be surprised to hear that Jesus Christ is barely in the book, and that most of his miracles were actually done by the Taros.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean they're the ones responsible for making all the bread and fish?
I guess. Quote, the main plot of the book begins with the birth of this being, quote-unquote, Yahweh, inside a shielded cavern. Born with pitch-black skin, he is raised by machines, trained to conquer the earth, and quote-unquote, make the people well again. After growing to adulthood, Yahweh creates the circumstances for Jesus to be born in the surface world, as well as other savior figures whom he intends to be his followers when he emerges from his cave. But the Satantes...
A new species?
Yeah, Satantes on Derde, who is the ruler of the Daros near Jerusalem.
Okay.
He undermines this plan, using his rays to control King Herod, who murders all but one of Yahweh's kids. How did Yahweh's kids get to the surface? Unclear. Yahweh then uses his rays to go into battle against Satantes, and their ongoing battles distract him from carrying out his plans to fix the surface world. Meanwhile, Satante's daughter, Lila, joins forces with Yahweh, but she also plots to undermine him and make him her slave. Eventually, Lila betrays Yahweh and turns him over to Satantes, and during his period of imprisonment, Jesus is arrested and crucified on the surface, presumably because they can't protect him.
Damn.
Yahweh, using lots of his strength, defeats Satantes and uses more rays to bring back Jesus. But then Lila kills him and keeps him prisoner for centuries. Yeah.
It sounds like a really bad sci-fi.
It's not good.
I know that's like the whole point of it, but like, damn.
Yeah, for real.
And people read this?
People either loved it or hated it. The stories were extremely controversial for the time.
No, I mean, I totally get it.
And like, as you might expect from sci-fi nerds, even back in the 40s, they were like, this isn't sci-fi. This is fake occultism. It's not what I read this magazine for, and it's obviously ridiculous.
Yeah.
Please stop publishing make-em-ups in my make-em-up magazine. You gotta publish sci-fi stories only.
Yeah. At that point, it's not even like a complaint about like make-em-ups. It's just like, dude, like, I just want to read science fiction, not fucking...
I just want to talk hammer and...
Yeah, I was being a little bit mean there, but like, I think it's a completely reasonable request to be like, this isn't what I signed up for this magazine for, dog.
Yeah, for real.
I didn't pay a subscription fee for this.
All I want is Conan.
Yeah.
But the new fans who thought this was all real, they like wrote into the magazine in mass, and they bought the magazine. People started like reporting their own sightings of the Terros and the Deros and their own adventures into accidental underground world.
I got into the elevator on my local city hall building, and I pressed down 35 times. I woke up in a unknown location. One
I was on the subway.
That he was a Deros who claimed he was a security guard told me that I was on parking lot G.
I was on a plane and the guy took off his shoes, and I bet he was a Deros because it was torture.
He took off his shoes and it smelled really bad. I figured he was a Deros on disguise.
And just like Reddit No Sleep or SCP or Slenderman, it's like it starts to become very hard to tell who is yes-anding, who's joking, and who is making fun of it, and who's being serious.
Right, like 4chan in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
At least this proves that shitposting existed all the way back then.
Oh my god. Again, I was saying like Ray Palmer's content brain, like he would have done so well in the TikTok era.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for real.
He really would have. So many people into
There's
like
so many
millions.
people doing the same shit like on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I hate it. Yeah.
Anyway, the Queens, I think as in Queens, New York, not like the Queen of England, the Queens Science Fiction League passed a resolution stating that the Shaver Mysteries were a danger to reader sanity.
Oh,
which
that's
like
so true.
I'm kind of inclined to agree with, considering
where
we are now.
For real.
But they also were narcs and planned to submit copies to the Society for the Suppression of Vice, which was like, you know, big narc, the anti like porn and stuff league.
I see.
Big narc energy.
And in a 1946 Philadelphia sci-fi convention, one fan started a motion to get the post office to ban Amazing Stories, and it failed by just 2 votes.
No.
Would a Philadelphia sci-fi convention resolution have actually affected the post office? I have no fucking idea. But
probably not. But yeah.
Again, I'm going to do my best Ron Perlman voice, but like fandom never changes.
So true, Ron Perlman.
So true.
So true,
Ron
John
Perlman's tight.
Perlman.
He's a cool guy.
He's a super cool dude.
He
was Hellboy.
Yeah. Jinx. I think you owe each other sodas now.
Oh shit, that's right. A third party jinxed us. We have to buy each other sodas.
Okay. I'll get you a soda.
Right, next time we see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all go get a soda.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's all go to the lobby. I will also only put in less than 10 seconds of that just in case.
We're safe.
We're safe.
Anyway, so like the Shaver Mysteries, they just kept printing them because they were super popular and made the magazine sell 250,000 copies by 1946, which is like huge for the time.
It really does suck that like the prospect of money really just kind of propagates the worst shit sometimes.
Yeah. But like
ooh.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we talk about this, but there's like without naming names, I find it really heartbreaking that a lot of people in the paranormal field start as like middle of the road people or skeptics, but like the money, like if you don't play ball, people don't show up on your show and shit, right?
I guess that's true.
There's only so many times you can be like, we investigated this house, we didn't get shit, there's no ghosts. So like for the money, you need to up the ante and yes and yourself, and eventually you know.
Yeah, you kind of fall into
to what YouTuber Grimbeard calls the harmful hyper reality hole of like believing your own shit and like making dramatic stories out of
nothing
and like getting people to believe that shit.
It's like a tulpa almost in some way.
Yeah.
Kind of like a tulpa, like something that only exists if you believe in it.
Only if you believe hard enough.
Yeah,
you really bullshit people.
Yeah.
So like the back to Ray Palmer, even though he was loving it, his boss was like, "Hey man, this is too hot for me.
Yeah.
Things are getting spicy and aggro.
Yeah.
Finally.
You can keep publishing these stories, but you have to stop saying they're true stories."
Right. You can keep publishing them, you just gotta fucking just don't involve me.
But again, Ray Palmer, he had that advanced content brain. So what he did was he split them off into a new magazine called the Shaver Mystery Club.
Well, I'm glad it's just its own thing now. It's not...
Yeah.
That's probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah. That magazine would eventually become Fate, which is like for years and years, it's the biggest paranormal magazine.
And
the first issue of Fate magazine in 1947 detailed Kenneth Arnold's UFO sighting, which is where we get the term flying saucer from, and like spread that around. So like thanks to the Shaver Mysteries, we now have the term flying saucer in a weird way.
Flying saucer? Like not UFO, but flying saucer?
Yeah, because Kenneth Arnold was flying and he saw a bunch of silver Batwing ships and he saw them kind of skipping.
Oh, I see.
Like a saucer or a rock thrown on the water, and so he was like, they looked like half saucers and they were skipping like stones, and people did a bad job of reporting it and were like, he saw flying saucers, because flying half saucer skipping like a stone.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that sensational, I guess.
It rolls right off the tongue, honestly.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man. Okay.
So like this became so successful eventually Palmer quit working under Ziff and just like focused full time on Fate by 49, and that was just in time for all the UFO shit in the 50s to explode. Yada yada yada. Palmer's story kind of sucks. He gets hazed by the FBI. He starts publishing like some conservative shit.
Of course.
So like, and like everything else, this too fades, and as the era of UFOs becomes in vogue in the 50s and stuff like that, nobody cares about the Terras or the Daras anymore.
Okay. Everybody's into aliens now.
Yeah, everyone's into aliens now.
Not underground.
Not aliens underground, but UFO aliens.
I see.
They come from the sky now, guys.
Yes.
They weren't under us, they were above us.
I've held it a little bit in mystery. Do you guys want to hear like the actual life story of Richard Shaver now, not the fake fell in love with an alien underground while in prison story.
You telling me all that's fake?
Believe it or not, there's evidence to suggest he might have made it up.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Why would you lie about his life?
Oh, fuck. Okay. So, Richard Shaver was very close with his older brother, Taylor, and Taylor himself was a writer who published adventure stories in Boy's Life. And Richard admired his brother.
Okay.
Boy's Life, if you don't know, was like a pulp magazine, which was more like two-fisted tales and like telling you how to do Boy Scout stuff.
Yeah, when I was a Boy Scout, I had a subscription to them.
Oh, there you go.
Life, yeah. I didn't last very long in the Scouts.
I was never a Scout.
Learn to fight a bear.
All I did was go camping. And hang out.
I like camping.
That's all that matters.
Camping, that was the best part of it, but got 200 video games after that.
Yeah. And now you're here.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Boy's Life.
Boy's Life, yeah. So Taylor would die of pneumonia in 1934.
No.
Damn.
And that basically exacerbated Richard's maybe pre-existing mental health issues.
That's rough, man.
Yeah, I feel for Palmer, I feel for Richard, like...
It's a hard life they had,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in 34, and by spring of 34, Richard really did start hearing voices.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
that's not good.
He allegedly reported that whole welding story, where he could hear other people's thoughts.
Mm.
And he was vocal enough about it and frightened and serious enough that by, just a few months later, by the summer of that year, his wife had him committed to the Ypsilanti State Hospital, where he remained with, periodic visits home for nearly 2 years for mental health treatment.
Jeez.
Well, I'm glad his wife cared enough to be like, well, we got to take you to a hospital.
Yeah, this is not... I feel for her, too, because imagine that you're like, your husband's brother and best friend dies, and then within weeks, he's at home...
It's like broken down,
yelling about how he can hear other people's thoughts, and he thinks there's evil butthole-less robots trying to get him.
Eesh, that's rough.
That is pretty... That's scary.
An awful existence.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel for... Hey, we on Scrub Mode, we have our own mental health problems here. I feel for everybody involved in this story deeply. This blows.
Yeah, it blows, man. It's rough.
So, shortly thereafter, Richard was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Okay.
Which, at that time, covered a way wider selection of symptoms than it currently does.
I see.
But he was released from Ypsilanti after that on extended leave to his parents' farm in Pennsylvania. But he was afraid that his wife, and I don't know how realistic of a fear this is, it's not clear. He was afraid that his wife's family would get him permanently committed, so he fled Pennsylvania and actually fled the United States to go to Canada.
Oh wow.
Huh.
He just, okay.
He just bounced.
Yeah, so how he tried to get there was by stowing away on a merchant vessel.
Mm.
And that's what actually got him imprisoned.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
So when he said assorted crime, I was picturing like murder or something way worse. But he claims that actually what the Darrows controlled him into doing was stowing away, which is, I think we can say, not that bad. Borders are fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not that sordid.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to use that word.
Yeah, exactly. So Ray Palmer was like a big fan, like often said like, hey, I've checked. There's no evidence that there's no evidence that Richard Schaefer was on Earth between 1938 and 1943. Where was he? Nobody has any records of him. And that's because he was committed during those years to the Ionia Hospital for the Criminally Insane after his arrest.
Wow.
All right, makes sense.
See.
And yeah, that's
He was there for 3 years?
5 years.
5 years, I see.
Which sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks.
That's a big chunk of time.
And so, like, the presence of influencing machines
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a common symptom for under the umbrella of schizophrenia. You think that people are controlling your actions or making you see stuff that's not there, because oftentimes you are seeing stuff that's not there. You're having impulse control issues. And obviously, like, the thinking Daros are after him fits with a lot of, like, paranoid delusion. So, like, dude was clearly having a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was not having a good time at all.
And this kind of puts Palmer in a bad light, because it sounds like maybe Palmer was exploiting a dude who was having an extremely bad time for content.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. That's a bad luck.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, you're taking advantage of a guy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is like a good or bad ending for Shaver, but after people lost interest in the Shaver mysteries, he retired to a farm and still occasionally wrote stories, which is good. But less good is that he became convinced that the rocks on his farm were actually books left by the ancient alien races that created the Terras and the Daros. And he spent years trying to communicate the messages that he said he found within the world, within the rocks, via photography and expressionist painting.
Okay.
So, is that him having another episode, but he's at least fit enough to, like, live by himself? Is that him attempting to get back in on the grift because farming is hard? I don't know.
That is strange.
But that's where the stories end.
I see.
And like we said, now, because that's in there and that got picked up by all the other fantasy books trying to replicate his success, we now have the Underdark, as well as all those conspiracy theories about aliens doing stuff underground.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Bummer ending.
Like always. Always, that's where the story ends, and it ends with literally, like, the least...
At least it's not a poltergeist. Actually, it is exactly like a poltergeist case, because people just, like the poltergeist, people just lose interest. They're like, shiny new thing, we got UFOs.
Yeah, done.
That's, wow.
It just sucks, you know?
Yeah.
They're like zero closure.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he got to live on a farm.
It could have been worse for him. Like,
it could have been.
For somebody's, I mean, not to undercut the 2 years or the total 7 years he was in mental health institutions, but, like, being able to retire to a farm and do art sounds nice.
That sounds pretty dope, honestly.
Yeah.
Being able to just sit back and retire is pretty dope.
Yeah. So at least some good came of this? I don't know. I'm not the person to ask to figure out the lesson to the story, but
I look forward to the day I can retire to a farm and just paint.
Me looking at the millennial clock, it just says never.
Yeah, right? Me looking up is like, haha.
But, yeah, thank you, John.
Thanks. Can we put a bow on this? Is there any good spin? Write your fan fictions. They might get you a farm.
Yeah, write your fan fictions. I think everyone
bring
should.
the needle ray into your... Bring it into your campaign. Just a needle ray.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of fits. It'd be perfect for, like, Mind Flayers or Dwergar.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. They just go...
All those evil underground torturers, you know.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Right. Everybody should write their story. I think you know, like, if One Punch Man has taught me anything, it's that, like, if you have an idea, just make it, just put it out there, even if it's kind of looks like crap. You never know who's gonna see it and be like, "Hey, this is something."
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a little hippy dippy, but I think it's just good for humans to do art.
I think so.
It's
too.
true.
It's good to do art, you know?
It's one of our things, you know?
Yeah. Makes you human in a lot of ways.
We need to... I don't know. Art is very interesting.
You guys know Rainn Wilson, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know, his podcast, he's got this whole thing where it's like, you know, like, painting in a lot of ways is like a form of religion. It's like a form of worship. Because you're trying to... express yourself. You're trying to create something. In a way, you're emulating God when you paint, when you create. So I think that's something that we should all do. I think we should all get in touch with our creative side.
Yeah.
Whether it means like getting together with friends and playing D&D, or just sitting at home painting on a canvas, or just drawing.
Yeah, anything from doodling to like working on your novel to photography, like Richard Shaver at the end there.
Yeah. Oh man. But thank you so much, John. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ryan.
thank you guys. Glad to be back. I missed you both.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back too, John. It's great. Glad we could all do this again. Thank you, Jesse Sanders, for making our music. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Is there any comments?
Yeah, well, we have a few, but none I haven't shouted out yet.
Okay,
but
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll check out our Redbubble, check out our Linktree. And send us an email, send us questions if you want. We'll answer them.
Yeah.
All right.
But we'll see y'all next time.
Take it easy. Check in on your homies.
Check in on your homies.
Don't let them shaver out.
Don't let them shaver out. Check in on your friends, even the strong ones, And we'll see y'all.
Everybody's going through something.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
Be the ear for them,
Yeah. Take care of your family, take care of your loved ones, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.